Hey everyone, welcome to this Masterclass session brought to you by ManageEngine. Thank you for signing up and attending this session today. My name is Rachit Arora and I'm an evangelist and solution expert at ManageEngine. I specialize in helping IT and business teams make sense of their data to make smarter data-driven decisions. I'm very excited to be presenting today's topic to you all. Today's session will focus on how you can run your IT like a business by leveraging the advanced analytics feature in your ServiceDesk Plus instance. Help desk administrators and managers spend most of their time fighting problems and issues. Closing the ticket as soon as possible and keeping the backlog at a minimum is always at the top of the mind. But in the middle of all this firefighting, they tend to lose track of the bigger picture. So they tend to miss out on small changes to their processes and workflows that they could make to save them a lot of time and efforts. Today's presentation aims to help you develop an analytical mindset while teaching you to use your help desk data to create reports, dashboards, and metrics that will help you track and improve your help desk processes and workflows. Before we jump into the session, here are a few housekeeping items. If you have any questions during the webinar, you can ask them in the Q&A panel on the left side of the screen. Your questions shall be answered by the technical members at hand or during the question and answer session towards the end of the webinar. Also, use the Q&A panel in case you're unable to hear me or face any technical issues during the webinar. In case you're unable to attend the entire session, don't worry. We'll be sending you a recording of the webinar in a few days. And if you have any feedback or questions after the webinar, you can reach out to me directly at rachit@manageengine.com, and you can also reach out to the support team on the email ID shown on the screen. Here is how today's presentation is going to go about. We'll first try and understand what it means to run your IT like a business. I'll then introduce you to advanced analytics for ServiceDesk Plus and help you get the most from the out-of-the-box reports and dashboards that come bundled with the integration. At the end of the amateur level, you should be able to view insights and reports completely based on the data stored in your ServiceDesk Plus instance. We then take things up a notch and explore the possibilities of what you can do with your help desk data. This part of the masterclass will open you up to new ideas and help you develop a more analytical approach to service management. The third section is probably the most important section for help desk administrators, as we look at how you can solve common help desk problems and get answers to many pressing IT questions with the help of advanced analytics. You'll be surprised with how much manual work and inefficiencies in your processes and workflows can be eliminated with just a few reports and metrics. We'll end the session with a question and answer segment. Before we proceed, I'd like to bring to your attention that you have access to a free supplementary resource available in the handout section on the left-hand side of the screen. The Guide to Data Democratization is a recently released ebook that I authored to help IT and business managers who are struggling to make use of their business data. The guide gives you a path forward on how your team or organization can focus more on uncovering hidden business insights and promoting a data culture within your organization. I hope you enjoy the ebook and share it with your colleagues and peers who might benefit from it. Let's begin by understanding what it means to run your IT like a business. Running your IT like a business involves borrowing aspects of business development and applying them to management and processes within your own IT team. But business teams are primarily customer and profit focused, whereas we have got to apply these concepts to an internal line of business, in this case, the internal IT team, where the aspect of profit is actually replaced by the aspect of bringing value to the parent organization. There are 4 things here when it comes to playing the balancing act when treating your IT team as a business unit. Number 1, you should be customer obsessed and try to meet and predict customer needs and wants. Number two, you should be value obsessed. You must ensure that your IT team is run efficiently and does not become a financial black hole of your organization. Third, you must ensure a great work patterns of your technicians. They must not be overworked or underworked. And finally, you must continuously improve over time, not just to align to ITIL's principle of continuous service improvement, but to actually keep up with today's fast pace of business. So, how does one go about doing all that? Well, when we look at other individual lines of businesses that exist across the organization, decision makers and managers there focus on just one thing to prove their worth to the parent organization. They obsess over metrics, KPIs, and analytics. Business executives use business intelligence tools to track and report metrics such as revenue and churn. Similarly, marketing, sales, finance, HR, and others have their own set of metrics and indicators that reflect their effectiveness and contribution to the organization's bottom line. But since IT is not a revenue driver, it becomes very tough to showcase the team's contribution to the business. We as IT folks know how important we are to the organization, but I'm going to help you use IT analytics to analyze and show your worth to the rest of the organization. When we at ManageEngine took a look at what kind of reports and metrics IT teams used, specifically in the case of IT service management, we came across very static dashboards that contained very rudimentary metrics and KPIs that were either too rigid or didn't have sufficient insight into the business function. The dashboard that you see on the screen right now is representative of the kind of general vanilla dashboards that we usually see across the industry. IT help desk store a lot of valuable data from which some incredible insights can be derived. Proper use of these data and insights can take your service management to another level, helping you improve processes and manage resources more efficiently. And we at ManageEngine wanted to create a flexible interface that allowed our users to freely browse through this data, manipulate it as they wish, and visualize the help desk data in a secure and self-service environment. But traditionally speaking, there are three ways that an IT user can work with and manipulate their data if they wanted to go beyond the native analytics provided within their help desk or IT tool. The first option is they could hire a specialist, such as a data scientist or data engineer, who has the knowledge of the various data manipulation tools, or they themselves could work with the data by acquiring and learning the technical tools and skills required. The problem with this approach is that the user may not have the right tools or skill sets. On the other hand, they could engage with the central data team of the organization, which is tasked with handling data-related projects. The problem with this approach is that it's time-consuming because you're dependent on a third party. Furthermore, the individual or team manipulating the data might not have the domain knowledge or the insights that are required to gain actionable insights from the dataset. Finally, there's the self-service model, in which each individual is enabled and empowered to do the work themselves. These people have highly functional domain knowledge and know the business outcomes that they want to drive. All you need to do is provide them with the right training and tools to allow them to get the work done themselves. But in this model, the tool does most of the heavy lifting. The problem with IT data was there was no BI or analytics tools designed specifically to handle IT data, and importing the data into a traditional BI system was highly manual and time consuming. That's why we introduced advanced analytics for ServiceDesk Plus, a complete self-service IT analytics tool that integrates directly with your ServiceDesk Plus instance and provides insights, reports, and dashboards right out of the box without requiring any manual data manipulation. Built specifically with IT service management teams in mind, the integration provides a highly customizable canvas for you to browse, manipulate, and visualize your help desk data. You get over 200 out-of-the-box reports, so you don't have to actually know how to use the tool to even start getting access to the reports and dashboards that can give you insights into your IT. This gives you a solid base to start your IT analytics journey. Of course, it's extremely fast to get started. You can be up and running in just a few minutes. To install Advanced Analytics on your ServiceDesk Plus instance, click on Admin, then click on Advanced Analytics under the Integration grouping. From there, you have two options to proceed. Option 1 is the manual option where you have to download Analytics Plus from the given link, install it on a server, and manually input the required credentials into the given fields. Option 2 is the automated method that automatically installs the integration on the same server as your help desk and connects it via a quick setup wizard. As soon as you're done with the setup, you should be able to view the over 200 out-of-the-box reports and dashboards available to you. You can customize and filter various reports and dashboards so that the insights that you generate are relevant and applicable to various teams and individuals in your IT team. Advanced Analytics gives both amateurs and power users a high level of functionality and flexibility to create any report, dashboard, or KPI that they want. You can create highly specific role-based or function-based dashboards powered by the data residing in your help desk. This is over and above the out-of-the-box dashboards that you get access to. The dashboards that you see on the screen right now are available to you as is, or you can also manipulate them to suit your specific needs. To understand how you bring value to the other functions and lines of businesses in your organization, you can connect Advanced Analytics to any database, application, or data feed across your business and uncover some incredible insights and relationships between the various sources of data. Powerful but easy to use formulas in Advanced Analytics makes it easier to create custom functions than it is to do the same functions in a spreadsheet. You can also use the forecasting engine to predict future trends without the need to code or hire an AI engineer. Being a self-service tool, the interface is extremely intuitive and simple, allowing you to create and manipulate data with an easy drag and drop report and dashboard builder. We have taken the concept of self-service even further by integrating Zia, our AI assistant, right into the analytics tool, allowing you to use natural language to get insights without having to manually manipulate your data. Let me give you a quick preview of the power that Zia brings to your fingertips. When you launch Advanced Analytics for the first time, you will see the following Explorer view. To access Zia, click on the Ask Zia button on the left side navigation. This brings up the AI assistant. Over here, you can use your voice or type out the question that you have and view as Zia magically creates the relevant report or KPI based on your question. So let's say I want to identify technicians who have a high number of escalations, as this might be a factor influencing the overall customer satisfaction rate. I'll ask Zia to show us the number of escalations by technician. As you can see, Zia automatically creates a bar chart of the technicians with the highest escalations and presents it to us. From this, we can see that Roger has the highest number of escalations with 122 tickets, followed by Brad at 121 tickets, and so on. We can get more contextual with this data and ask Zia to group these escalations based on the type of request. To do that, we'll add by request type in the search bar. As you can see, Zia has grouped the escalations by color based on the type of request. That is, if the request was an incident, or it was a request for assistance, or it was a request for information. This gives us more contextual and actionable insights, indicating the type of requests the technicians are having problems with. We can make this view even better by asking Zia to showcase it as a stacked bar chart. There you go. You can view all the information in a single chart without manually having to create or manipulate data or write a single line of code. You can further edit this report, save it for future viewing, or add it to a dashboard. Conducting a root cause analysis into your IT and help desk incidents is going to become a piece of cake with the guided drill down functionality in advanced analytics. And obviously, no data analytics tool can be considered complete without a robust user management and data security system. You have complete control over who can view what in advanced analytics. You can share reports but hide the raw data. You can ensure that reports that are exported are password protected to ensure compliance and adherence to various data and compliance policies. We have now completed the first level of this masterclass. Till now, you have learned what it takes to run your IT like a business, realized that the industry has a lot of rudimentary and rigid analytical tools for IT, and explored the three different typical approaches to data manipulation and analytics that IT users generally have access to if they want to create analytics beyond what comes within their native applications. You have also seen how to install advanced analytics for ServiceDesk Plus to get access to the out-of-the-box reports and dashboards. Finally, you used Zia, the AI assistant, to create reports and metrics using just text or voice to get some actionable insights. In level 2, we will try to master the datasets and tool to make ourselves familiar with the analytics environment and understand the data that we're dealing with at a deeper level. By the end of this level, you should be able to understand how to explore a dataset, how to create custom formulas, and finally craft highly customized reports using the drag and drop report builder while making the best use of all the other various features that the analytics tool has to offer. The most essential part of data manipulation and data analysis is obviously understanding the dataset that we have at hand. The help desk collects a lot of data, and the advanced analytics tool gives you the ability to browse through this dataset very easily and intuitively. But with over 45 out-of-the-box datasets that a user has access to as soon as they install advanced analytics for ServiceDesk Plus, a new user might be overwhelmed by the amount of data that she or he has to go through. That's where these suggested datasets come into play. The most important datasets are the ones shown on the screen, and you should make a note of them for future reference. The most important one here is definitely the request dataset, as all activities in a help desk begin with the raising of a new request, and naturally that dataset is the most important. Take your time to manually go through the various columns in the dataset. I assure you, the more understanding you have of the data and data relationships, the better insights and ideas you can derive from it. I'll now briefly explore the request dataset with you while giving you a brief tour of the analytics environment. When you open Advanced Analytics for the first time, you will land in the Explorer view, which will look something similar to this. All the raw data fetched from ServiceDesk Plus is stored in the folder named ServiceDesk Plus Data. You can also click the data link on the left-hand side navigation to view all the datasets available to you and search for a specific dataset within this workspace. Let's search for the request dataset and bring it up. Most of the columns here are derived from the request form that you've set up within your ServiceDesk Plus instance, and most of the column names are indicative of what the data column contains. The request ID column contains the unique ID assigned to each ticket created in your help desk. The subject is manually typed by the user or chosen from a drop-down based on how you've set up your request forms. Take your time to manually go through this dataset and understand what are the variables that exist within it. For example, when we look at the site column, we see a repeated variable of locations from which the ticket originates. The variables here, such as Tokyo, Sydney, etc., indicate that the help desk is a centralized one and caters to users spread across multiple sites or offices. Based on this knowledge, you might want to create a filter when you create your reports, allowing you to filter the data within the report to show insights from specific sites or offices. Another interesting variable here is the mode variable, which contains the mode or channel through which the ticket is created. The options or channels visible here are web form, email, and phone call. Now, once we have looked at the data set and start seeing some variables, let's go ahead and try to create a report to analyze the data. Let's say we want to verify if the mode or channel in which the ticket is raised affects the time taken to respond to the ticket. To verify this manually would be extremely tough and tiresome. But let's look at how the advanced analytics tool can help you get this insight very quickly and easily. To create a new chart or visualization, click on the green Create button on the top left corner. Here, you have the option to create various types of visualizations like charts, dashboards, pivots, and summary views. For our purpose, we'll be using the chart view. Select the relevant table here based on where the metric that you want to visualize resides in. As the mode metric that we are trying to visualize resides in the request table, that's what we will be selecting. The chart designer is now open. On the left, you will find the column list pane that lists all the data columns from the request table. On the right side, you can see the design area which shelves to drag the columns into. To create a chart, you have got to drag and drop the required data column from the pane on the left-hand side into the respective shelves to create your chart. You can also tick the check mark against the columns to auto-place them on the shelves. Let us begin by creating a chart that shows us the average time taken to respond to a ticket depending on the mode or channel of ticket creation. To create this, we will drag the mode and time to respond to a ticket to the X and Y axis respectively. We can use the search box in the column pane to find a specific data column. To get the response time metric, we will use the time to respond in hours data in the Y-axis. When you start looking through your data set, you will come across metrics that will help you get more specific data on your help desk performance. The time to respond in hours is one such data point that can help us achieve what we want to know. Advanced analytics helps you apply aggregate and categorical functions like sum, count, average, minimum, maximum, and more to group and summarize the data in the charts. We will be using the average function to calculate the average response time. Click on the Generate button to create your chart. You will now see the chart with the mode on the x-axis and the average time to respond on the y-axis. You can hover over each of the bars to view the average time, but this becomes tedious with larger data sets. Let's add a data label to each bar in the chart. We can do so by clicking the gear icon on the top right, clicking on the axis option, and checking the box next to the data label under the y-axis and hitting apply. Now you can see a data label above each bar on the chart. You can see the average response time for a ticket raised via a phone call is marginally higher than the other channels of ticket creation. Let us now change this report to view how the response time for the various channels have varied quarter over quarter. To do that, replace the mode with created time and choose the quarter and year function as we want to view the data quarter over quarter. Then drag the mode column into the color shelf and click Generate. The analytics tool has automatically chosen a visualization style for us, but we can choose the visualization style depending on our needs and preferences. Let's choose the bar chart option from the top. You will now see the quarter over quarter average response times with the bar for each mode color coded in each quarter. You now have an even more insightful view of your data. You can see the response time for phone calls was about 13 hours in Q1 2020, but has reduced a lot and gone down below 12 hours in the next quarter, indicating that there has been an improvement in the response times. Advanced analytics also allows you to set table level and cell level lines that can be superimposed over your chart to act as indicative markers to better analyze your charts. We will now superimpose a global average response time on the table. To do that, click on the gear icon and head over to the threshold tab. We will now create a table level threshold showcasing the average response time for the entire data set. Let's call it global average response time and give it a light blue color. You can now see that the global average response time across the dataset is 10.85 hours, and we can easily identify the modes in various time periods that have breached the average time. We can even create a quarter over quarter average threshold to make this chart even more informative. We'll now click on the gear icon and head over to the threshold tab to create a cell-based quarterly average response time threshold. You can now see that every quarter is superimposed with a quarterly average response time, and you can clearly see the deviation between the global average response time and the quarterly average response time due to this. You now get a lot of insight into your data with this detailed chart. You can identify that the response times for email and web forms in Q1 2020 are below average, but the increased response time for phone calls has caused the overall response time for that quarter to go above the average. You can also see that the Q2s in both the years have breached the average response time, possibly indicating that an increased volume of tickets or reduced technician availability in those specific quarters. Let's save this report for future reference by clicking the Save icon on the top left. Let's name it quarter on quarter response time. By mode. Advanced analytics also allows you to create alarms so that you don't have to keep looking at and tracking the report. To create an alert, click on the alert icon on the top right and choose the create alert option. Let's give the alert the name of response time threshold breached. And set it up in such a way that advanced analytics scans the average response time weekly every Monday at 9 a.m. and informs the admin via an in-app notification if the average response time breaches the 12-hour mark. There you go. You have now successfully created an alert. Finally, we can export this report by clicking on the export icon on the top right and choosing from the various options available. It's time for a quick poll. Can you please participate in the poll and help us understand the frequency at which you create reports within your team? The poll should be visible to you now. In case you're not able to see the poll, just type out the answer in the Q&A panel. Every team requires some continuous visibility over various aspects of their business. This generally involves periodic creation of reports. This usually is a very manual process and involves someone repeating the same process month over month or even weekly in some cases. Let's jump back into the application and see how we can create effective real-time dashboards and customize them to suit our needs. We're now going to edit an out-of-the-box dashboard as per our specific needs and then explore a few powerful sharing options that you can find within Advanced Analytics. Advanced Analytics comes with a number of out-of-the-box dashboards, and we will be using the Service Desk Manager dashboard for this example. This dashboard contains reports and KPIs that are generally important to a Service Desk Manager. The data on this dashboard is updated in real time and can be customized further with the help of user filters as well as editing the report and metrics to suit your specific needs. Let's replace the time spent per request metric at the top of the dashboard with a metric indicating the number of open tickets at the moment. Click on the Edit Design button on the top right and then click the edit icon on the specific metric. We will first change the widget style to a simple widget. To show the number of open tickets, select the request ID data column from the request table. Then click on Filters and search and drag the request status variable into the filter frame. Check the box next to the open status. Then click on Settings and change the label . Let's give it a theme and click Apply. We can now save the dashboard by clicking the Save icon on the top. You have now successfully changed the widget as per your specific needs. Let us now edit the user accessible filters. This feature here filters all the reports in a specific dashboard based on the variables and options chosen. Let's delete the period filter as we don't require it at the moment. We will then add a site filter by clicking on the Add User Filters option. The site filter should allow the user to filter the reports on the entire dashboard by the location in which the ticket was created. Let's click on View Mode and see how the filter works. When I select the New York site from the list, you will see that all the KPIs and reports on the dashboard only show data related to the tickets originating from the specific site that I have chosen. Advanced Analytics comes with advanced sharing options, allowing you to apply custom filters before you share a dashboard with a specific user or group of users. Click on the Share icon and select the Share this view option. You can type the email ID of the user or groups of users that you want to share the dashboard with. You have the incredible power to apply filters to a dashboard before you share them. Let's say we have a different manager handling tickets originating from different departments in your IT. To create a department-specific dashboard view, click on Apply Permissions and Filters. Click on the Filter criteria. Let's say I'm sharing this dashboard to the individual overlooking the engineering department. I would apply the filter as follows. This filter criteria ensures that all the data on the dashboard on the shared link only contains data from the specific engineering department. I can then click on Preview to verify and see if my filter works. As you can see, the data on the preview only shows the metrics from the specific engineering department. I also have the option to embed the dashboard on a website or on a page within my intranet. To get an iframe embed link, you can click on the publish icon and select the embed option. You can use this iframe link to embed the specific report within your organization or outside. Advanced Analytics comes with a powerful formula engine that plays a major role in extracting the insights that you require from your dataset. Let's go through and see how you can create your own formulas and how you can view and manipulate existing formulas. The request velocity is a metric that calculates the average number of incoming requests per day. This report shows us the trend of the average number of incoming requests per day across multiple months. We will first look at how you can inspect formulas associated with the dataset and then edit the request velocity metric to show us the average number of incoming requests per week instead of the per day that we have on the current report. So to identify if a metric is a calculated formula, search for your specific metric. And if you see a sigma sign beside it, that is indicative that it is a calculated metric. Head over to the request to view all the formulas associated with it. To view all the aggregate formulas associated with the table, click on the Add button and then click on Edit Formulas. This view shows you a list of all the aggregate formulas that come out of the box, as well as any new formulas that you create. Let us use the search bar to find and understand the request velocity formula. You can then click on the Edit option to open the formula editor. The daily request velocity formula is calculated total number of requests from the request table and dividing it by the unique number of days in the dataset, which is fetched from the created time column in the same table. You can use the functions panel on the right to explore the definitions and formats of all the formulas that are used in Advanced Analytics. Hovering on the date function shows us the definition stating that the date function returns the date part of the given date and time value. Now let us copy the existing request velocity formula and edit it to get our weekly request velocity metric. Click on the Add Aggregate Formula to create a new formula. Let's give this formula a name. Let's paste the previously copied formula here. Using the functions panel on the right, let's identify the function that will help us fetch the week part of the given time value. Very obviously, on hovering on the week function, we can see that the definition matches our requirement. Let's replace the date with week in the pasted formula and save it. Now let's head back to the request velocity report that we had seen earlier. And let's replace the request velocity value that was given earlier with a newly created one. There you have it. The chart represents the average number of requests received every week during each of the months in the x-axis. You now know how to explore and analyze the various out-of-the-box formulas and also how to manipulate them or create your own using the powerful formula engine within Advanced Analytics. With this, we have successfully completed level 2 of this masterclass. In this session, we discovered how to understand and browse through our datasets. We learned how to create and share custom reports and dashboards within Advanced Analytics. We were also able to use the powerful formula engine to create a custom formula to create any report that we want. You're now well on your path to master Advanced Analytics for ServiceDesk Plus. Just remember to spend time browsing through the datasets and creating custom reports on your own. The only way to really understand Master Analytics is by actually spending time and trying it out. In the final level, we are going to combine all that we have learned to solve some practical use cases and common questions and problems that IT service managers and administrators usually have. In this level, we're going to go over 3 real-life scenarios and use cases that make use of the analytics tool to solve the problem or get answers to the pressing questions that we have. Case 1 revolves around continuous service improvement or CSI. CSI aims to continuously improve the speed and effectiveness of your processes over time. In order to achieve continuous service improvement, you must compare specific indicative metrics over a period of time and make sure that you see an improvement in them. How can analytics help you with that? Let's say we want to track areas where our technicians lack expertise or take longer to provide the right resolution. We can hypothesize that if a technician regularly takes longer to respond to requests in a particular category, he or she probably lacks expertise in that category and might require some additional training. This report gives me the average resolution time this quarter across multiple various request categories. Looking at this report, we can see that the technicians take longer to resolve to issues relating to the MPLS switches, ISP links, general issues, and data handling. This is an indicator that maybe your technicians require training as they might lack expertise in those specific areas. The additional training and guidance should result in a decreased resolution time, which shall be indicated directly on this report. Now that you know which areas your technicians lack expertise in, and you provided some level of corrective action to hopefully resolve the issue, the most important step in CSI is to track the metric over time to monitor the improvements. To do that, I'm going to introduce the average resolution time from 3 months ago into this report. You can use this report to monitor improvements in your metrics. If the bar for this quarter, indicated in green, is lesser than that from 3 months ago, indicated in blue, it indicates a decline in the average resolution time. You can also use the technician filter to provide technician level insights to give a more personalized training to your team. You can apply the same method that we have applied to the average resolution time in this CSI to any other metric and monitor its improvement over time. The second case involves solving issues around technician workload and capacity planning. As a help desk manager, I want to be able to see if my technicians are getting an equal amount of tickets assigned to them or not. This is to ensure that they're not either overworked or underworked. Secondly, I also want to be able to view insights that would help me plan my technician requirements through the year. Let's say I work in a cyclical industry such as education. I should be able to plan for sudden surges in help desk volume and ensure I have sufficient technicians at hand to meet the demand. Let's take a look at 2 reports that can help us with this. The technician load distribution report shows me a visual representation of the monthly number of tickets assigned across my technicians. The goal of this report is to easily identify outliers. As you keep tinkering with your auto assignment rules and other help desk workflows, keep a regular eye on this report. The more closely packed the circles are to each other, the better. When circles overlap each other, they are indicative that the technicians are handling a similar number of tickets. But in case there are gaps between the circles or the circles are spread apart, that's going to show an unequal distribution of workload. For example, Robert Whitman in April 2019 is clearly handling more tickets than the rest of the technicians. Another insight you can see is that for the last 2 months, Lynn Hendricks has got the least number of tickets. These deviations act as indicators for further analysis. The workload distribution report is an extremely good visualization that can help you save costs as well as plan for capacity fluctuations in the future. The workload metric that you see in each of these squares is actually the ratio of incoming requests to the number of available technicians during that specific time period. The squares which are blue indicate that there are more technicians available on those days than required, and the ones that are colored in purple and yellow indicate that the incoming tickets are much higher compared to the technicians available to handle those tickets. So help desk managers can save costs by reducing the technicians on call on the days with the blue squares, and he or she could ensure the availability of more technicians on the days in which the tickets seem to be getting out of hand. These are the sort of visualizations that go a long way to providing incredible value that you might not have been able to spot otherwise. The final case is something that I'm sure that we have all come across. There have been times where you want more data about a specific issue, feature, or application, but the data that you want is not very explicit and easy to find. It is not directly available as a category that you can choose or a feature that you can filter out. This data is hidden in the text used in the titles and descriptions created by users over time, and your only option, though a highly impractical one, is to manually go through the hundreds of subject lines and messages to find the insights that you're looking for. I'm talking about finding insights hidden in unstructured data. For this example, I'm going to analyze the words used in subject lines of all the tickets in the help desk to find the most commonly used words, what they indicate, and if I can use this data to automate some of the requests that land in my help desk. In the final report, we're going to view how you can use SQL queries to take your analytic skills to the next level. Here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to fetch the subject lines used in all the tickets in our help desk. We're then going to use a simple SQL query to split each of the words in the subject line and place them in individual columns. As you can see, we have been able to split the subject lines into up to 21 individual columns marked by the text columns. The 21 is just an arbitrary number that we have chosen, but you can choose the limit based on your preference. We will then use another SQL query to combine the 21 columns that we just saw into a single column. We need to do this to drag a single column into the report creator and make use of the packed bubble visualization style that exists in advanced analytics. As you can see, all the columns have been combined into a single text column over here. Let's now see how to create a packed bubble visualization to visually analyze this data. Click on the Create Chart icon and let's choose the chart view. Then drag the text column into the y-axis and choose the count function. We will then drag the same text column into the size option and again make sure that the count option is chosen. And finally, we'll drag the same text column into color and hit generate graph. We will then change the visualization style to that of a packed bubble and exit the edit mode. This creates a visualization that shows the density of each keyword used in the subject line across our help desk. For example, we can spot the SharePoint text given here. On clicking and analyzing the underlying data, we can see that there are repetitive requests to provide access to SharePoint throughout the year. This process can either be automated based on a manager approval cycle without requiring technicians to be handling it manually, or it can also be integrated right within the onboarding process itself so that every new employee gets access to the required SharePoint credentials. You can also use the same subject line data to conduct a time series problem analysis for categories that don't exist in your request form. For example, this chart represents the frequency of the word network appearing in the subject line of requests distributed over a period of time. This shows us a clear picture that there was a major network issue in April and minor peaks in June and November. This gives us a pulse of the overall performance of the network over the year. Just like with any other line of business, there are a bunch of key performance indicators and metrics that are popular across the ITSM industry. You will find a lot of them within the out-of-the-box reports, but this presentation would go for a much longer time if I was to cover each one of them. But don't worry, I won't leave you hanging. My team and I have been working on condensing complex ITSM indicators and IT analytics tips, tricks, and best practices into small, bite-sized pieces of information that you can learn by just browsing through your social feed. The Master IT Analytics series will definitely keep you exposed and up to date on various IT analytic metrics, ideas, and concepts. All you got to do to access these insights is to follow either the ManageEngine LinkedIn company page or the Master IT Analytics handle on Instagram to get regular updates and insights that you can apply on your help desk data. With that, you have completed the final level of the masterclass. Congratulations. You are now able to create reports and dashboards, solve problems and issues with data, create some fantastic shareable metrics, and make decisions based on insights derived from your own historic data. You're well on your way to mastering advanced analytics and developing an analytical approach to service management. You now possess the skills to actually dig deep and understand the data generated by your own service desk and use this data to improve processes and provide more value to the broader parent organization. Please spend time creating your own reports and browsing through the various datasets to get familiar and fluent in IT analytics. I'd like to thank you for sticking to the end, and I hope you walk away with some new ideas and insights. Please post your questions in the question and answer panel on the left, and I'll get to answering them in just a minute. In case I'm unable to answer them right now, either I or someone from my team will send you an email after the webinar. You can always reach out to us on the email IDs mentioned on the screen.